"You don't belong here anymore." Those were the first words out of my father's mouth after 5 years of silence. Not hello, not welcome back, not even how are you. Just a cold sentence like I was trespassing in the very house I'd grown up in. I'm Rowan Greaves. I'm 34. I served overseas, saw friends die, came back with scars no one asked about, and today I walked into a boardroom that smelled of lemon polish, ambition, and inherited greed. My own family, the people I once trusted, were ready to erase me. Across the polished oak table, my sister Era sat poised, smirking like she had front row seats to my humiliation. My father, Leonard, leaned back in his leather chair, the chair he'd always treated like a throne, while Miss Halford, the lawyer, began reading Grandpa's will. The temperature in the room dropped, or maybe it was just the chill of their contempt. He got the books. She got the lake house. And then finally they said my name. Rowan Greaves, the granddaughter Grandpa had confided in, the one he'd trusted to carry his vision forward. But their faces didn't change. No surprise. No congratulations. Just the same cold calculation I'd walked in to witness. Then the number landed. $38 million. Voting control. Braden Tech. In my name. And my father lost it. Leonard grabbed the check like it had insulted him personally. "You think this brings you back?" he sneered. Then struck a match and burned the paper before anyone could react. Flames licked the table as if swallowing my very existence. But here's what they didn't know. Grandpa had prepared me. The $38 million was just a decoy, a test, a spark, a prelude. In my coat pocket sat a second envelope, sealed and untouchable, holding the real proof of everything. The legal keys, the documentation, the evidence. They wanted to see me break. They wanted to erase me. And I came prepared. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I didn't cry. I walked out of that boardroom silent, the echo of my boots on the wood floors a quiet warning. They thought they'd buried me, but the truth? I was already planning my comeback. Because this wasn't just about money. This was about survival. About legacy. About showing the people who tried to delete me that I was still here and I was untouchable. The first battle was over. The war? It was just beginning. Have you ever had your own family try to erase you? Drop a comment and share your story. And if you're drawn into stories of revenge and justice, don't forget to like and subscribe. You won't want to miss what comes next. I should have felt relief walking out of that boardroom. I didn't. The air outside was crisp, but it felt heavier than any battlefield I'd ever been on. My name had been spoken, my inheritance technically secure, but my identity, my life, my very existence had been threatened. The first clue something deeper was happening hit me when I tried to access my accounts. My bank apps froze, my cards declined. Every attempt to log in returned the same message. Account inactive. Client deceased. Deceased. Me. Rowan Greaves. Legally erased. My hands went numb. My stomach knotted. The world around me blurred into the sounds of traffic and distant footsteps. But then I remembered the envelope Grandpa had left me. His handwriting, precise and deliberate, had instructed, "Only open if they try to burn what's yours." I returned to my apartment, pacing like a caged soldier, heart hammering. My fingers trembled as I broke the seal. Inside, a notarized trust transfer and a USB drive. Real, irrefutable, untouchable proof of everything they tried to take from me. Stocks, voting rights, bank logs, everything. My inheritance wasn't gone. They just thought I didn't know how to protect it. I should have felt relief. But the panic didn't end there. My ID? Flagged. The DMV called me legally deceased. Every official record, every governmental system I relied on, had been corrupted, faked, forged by Leonard himself. An Era? She wasn't hiding in the shadows. She was complicit, standing silently by, letting her husband's schemes unfold. I swallowed the shock and called in reinforcements. Sylvia Marsh, the kind of legal advocate who once took the Pentagon to court and won, answered my call without hesitation. She didn't ask questions. She just looked at the stack of forged documents I handed her and said, "This better be illegal." "Yes." "And it is," I said, voice low, steady. Minutes later, she called in Miles Crow, a forensic analyst with the kind of mind that could dissect a fake signature faster than most people read an email. Within an hour, the forgery was exposed. Leonard had attempted to siphon 40% of my Braden Tech shares into a shell company. Era had helped him navigate the paperwork. They were trying to take everything, not just the company but my life, my name, my legacy. Every detail, every fraud, every attempt to erase me had a hole big enough to drive a legal bulldozer through. And I was ready. I called Nash Wilder, an investigative journalist known for shredding corporate corruption in the press. I handed him the evidence, real, raw, irrefutable. No one blinked. No one hesitated. Then came the legal offensive. Sylvia filed motions, froze board actions, locked the fraudulent transfers. Miles drafted affidavits. I dug up deployment orders, stamped and signed, the kind of documents you can't fake in a war zone. Every hard copy, every digital footprint, meticulously organized. And the look on Leonard's face when the federal notice hit? Priceless. The man who had burned my check, tried to erase me on paper, who thought my silence was weakness, he realized for the first time that I wasn't just surviving. I was fighting back. And I was unstoppable. But the most shocking part? Era's face when she saw her husband cuffed for federal fraud. Fear. Regret. And finally, the first flicker of clarity in years. She had stood in the shadows, complicit, but she wasn't invincible. By the time the courtroom stamped the freeze, the press had begun telling the story I'd handed them. But I didn't linger. No selfies, no triumphant speeches, no "I told you so." I walked out quietly, letting the echoes of my boots announce my presence instead. I wasn't rebuilding their house. I was starting something new, clean, untouchable, built on my terms. Have you ever had your own family betray you so completely it felt like the world erased you? Drop a comment below, I want to hear your story. And if you're following this story, give it a like, because the next chapter? That's when the real revenge begins. Revenge didn't come with shouting or slammed doors. It arrived quietly through court filings, sealed records, and signatures that couldn't be burned. The board froze Leonard's moves within 48 hours. His shell company was exposed. The fraudulent death certificate became evidence. The forged signatures, flag traced, undeniable. What he tried to do in silence was now documented in permanent ink. The press didn't scream. It dissected. Headlines didn't call it a family dispute. They called it corporate fraud, identity erasure, illegal consolidation of voting control. Words Leonard had always hidden behind lawyers to avoid, now attached directly to his name. I never returned to the boardroom. I didn't need to, because the real win wasn't reclaiming the money. It was reclaiming myself. The courts reinstated my legal identity first. That alone felt surreal, watching a judge confirm that I existed, that I had always existed. My accounts were reopened. My voting rights restored. Leonard's trust was locked pending investigation. Era's involvement was documented. Her silence no longer invisible. And then came the part no one expected. I walked away. Not because I lost, but because I refused to let my future orbit the people who tried to erase me. Instead of fighting to reclaim their empire, I built something they could never touch. I bought a quiet storefront. No plaque. No press release. Just clean floors, open light, and a purpose that didn't need permission. Inside, I hung 4 words Grandpa had written in his final letter. Words I finally understood. Make something they can't erase. So I did. I founded the Greaves Foundation, legal aid for veterans, women pushed out of power, people written off by systems designed to protect the loud and bury the quiet. No slogans. No performative charity. Just real help, one case at a time. Our first client was a woman dishonorably discharged for reporting harassment. All she wanted was to be heard. So I listened. And then I fought properly, this time with laws instead of weapons. And I won. Every person who walks through that door adds weight to what I'm building. Not a monument. A launchpad. Proof that being erased once doesn't mean staying gone. I ran into my sister weeks later on the street. She didn't wave. I didn't stop. Some silences are earned. Leonard's case is still moving through the courts. Slowly. Publicly. Painfully. His legacy, the one he tried to protect by burning mine, is now tied forever to fraud filings and legal footnotes. Grandpa knew this would happen. He trusted me because I didn't need applause to take up space. And now I own the building where their story fell apart, not in anger but in form, in structure, in permanence. So if you've ever been written off by blood, by paperwork, by lies dressed as authority, hear this. You don't owe them a comeback. You owe yourself a beginning. This was mine. If this story hit close to home, comment below and share your experience. You're not alone. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. And if you stayed until the end, give this video a like. It really helps the channel. Because sometimes the quietest people come back not with noise, but with a legacy no one can erase.